What's up, boys? In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 things that could make MX Bikes an incredible game, maybe even a perfect game, in my opinion. And what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about each topic and ride a different MXGP track. Well, because it's almost MXGP season and Dougie Wuggy wants to do well. Anyway, let's move on to the first thing. And we're going to talk about mods. All right, mods are a big issue in MX Bikes. And I'm not talking paid mods, and I'm not talking free mods. I'm just talking about mods in general and how they're applied to the game. Really, if you're not in an active part of the community, when something updates like the OEMs or a track, you really have no idea unless you're in a Discord or you're on the mods website or you ask a streamer. That's pretty much the only way you can know. There's no notification system, there's no automatic updating. And I would really like to see this, and I'm not sure if it's even possible, but I would really like to see if the mods could migrate over to Steam Workshop or something like that. I think that would be absolutely huge. That way people could just click, download and update when things need to update, or it would automatically update. And really the biggest one, I think the biggest barrier of entry for new people is the bikes. Right? I would love to see the OEMs or the factory bikes, whatever brand or whatever bike is going to be the main bike in the game. I would love to see it in the game, right? Where it updates through Steam, and when the OEM team or whoever it is pushes an update, it just updates through Steam. That way people have automatic updates, they can get on and their game's just updated. And I know that people are gonna be like, well, what about licensing and blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't really understand, and this could just be my lack of understanding because I don't understand. This could be what about okay, in Escape from Tarkov, right? Let's just take that for a little example. I eat a Snickers bar in Escape from Tarkov, but it's actually called a Slickers. And MX vs ATV games, I feel like, did this in the past, where they would have they would have a bike that clearly represented a brand, but then they just named it something different. And I'm just wondering, why couldn't we just call them orange and yellow and blue and red and green? Why couldn't we? Maybe there's a good reason, but I don't, we can take off all the branding, and I know that would make skinning things difficult for the guys that make the custom kits and stuff, and they couldn't put any Yamaha logos and Suzuki logos. I know that would make licensing kind of an issue, and all the tracks and everything, if it went through Steam, wouldn't be able to have that. But I really think if it meant that the game could be more accessible for newer players, not having real logos on things would be absolutely worth it. And I mean not even close. It would be so worth it. And I just, man, I have a lot of friends, and I have seen a lot of people through the years of playing bikes and being a creator where their biggest issue with the game is man, I just downloaded the game and all these OEMs and tires and tracks that you guys said we needed, and today I got on and nothing works because there was an update or something. And then they're too, I don't want to use the word lazy, but it's too complicated for them to go back in and re-download everything, and so they just give up on the game and they're done. I think if there was a more simple way, or let's take Assetto Corsa where it has its own mod launcher thing. If there was something like that where people could just hit download instead of having to open the files and WinRAR and all this stuff. The reason that my most viewed videos and a lot of creators' most viewed videos are mod tutorials is because it's too complicated. It's too much. And I think that alone would increase the player base like crazy if we were able to simplify the modding process. I don't have the solution, because I don't know all the little behind the scene details, and I know people are gonna be like, it's impossible. Well, it might not be impossible, it might just be more difficult than we're thinking, and I don't know, but I think there are other games that are similar, Assetto, and I know the Steam Workshop, that they are able to achieve a similar thing with a lot easier, a lot easier on the user, and I would love to see that in bikes. Let's move on to my next topic. All right, my next topic is a big partnership, and I would really like to see bikes be able to be somewhat involved with a real life series. And I know that sounds difficult, but even, you know, okay, listen, we got MX vs ATV, who just announced that they have the Supercross pack coming out in their game. So we can forget about Soupy for a while, and I think, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that they're still going to be doing outdoors. Someone can correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect on that, but I'm assuming that the AMA stuff is pretty much, as far as Soupy and outdoors, is already taken by MX vs ATV. W them, by the way. Okay. That leaves a few other options. That leaves this right here, what I'm on, MXGP. That I think would be huge, and I think probably pretty possible. You know, I know that there are a lot of people in the game that have the quote-unquote power to do something like that do have connections over there. You know, the people that put on the LAN, I know that they're very involved and are aware of the people in MXGP that would need to make that happen. So I feel like that would be a good option. For all I know, it could be in the works already. Or if that's not an option, I mean, I honestly think even starting small, like Arena Cross or Enduro Cross, or like some quote unquote, I don't want to, okay, let's not overreact here, but like a B series, right? Like a smaller, not as mainstream. Heck, even flat track, you know, like something to get us into the IRL scene would be really big for the game. And I think, you know, that would just bring a lot more eyes. But I think to do that, a few things have to happen, right? I think one of the main issues with the game, from what I can see from like my content creation and just comments and kind of seeing the public census, is that the right word? I don't know, I was homeschooled. Anyway, the public view of the game is, I think it needs to be taken a little bit more serious before bigger corporations and people want to invest in it. And I think we're on the right track for that. You know, I think the LAN was oh my goodness, the LAN was a huge step in the right direction for that. Kind of put us on the map of like, look, this game is competitive and can produce good racing and people are interested in it and blah, blah, blah. I think another good, you know, analytic that they could use for that is, well, in the LAN, there was a rule in the LAN that said that, you know, if people wanted to compete, they would give them the game for free, and that way they could compete. Well, I made a TikTok on it that hit 500,000 views, and it hit like 200,000 on Instagram, and like 100,000 on YouTube in 24 hours. And they went from having like a average amount of signups for the LAN qualifiers to about like 12,000 in 24 hours. And I think that shows a lot of interest in the game. Maybe, you know, obviously a lot of those people did not, oh my gosh, I'm so bad at the game. Okay, a lot of those people did not compete in the LAN, but they were interested in the game. But what's interesting to me is, you know, I don't know, I just feel like the pro scene right now is in a very odd place where it's probably the best it's ever been and also probably the worst it's ever been in some ways. I know that the guys are really working on trying to get things to be smooth, and I just think that really needs to be a priority. Not skipping rounds, not having game crashes, which this is a combination between the aerial guys and Poboso and, you know, kind of everybody involved. No game crashes. We cannot be having game crashes that decide championships. Like, that's crazy. We cannot be doing that. And what, didn't we have like 3 last year that decided championships? Like, that's crazy. That cannot be happening. We cannot be skipping rounds every other week for whatever reason. You know, like, we gotta be, and this isn't, I'm not harping on anybody. If anyone's watching this that's involved, like, like, this isn't directed at anybody, or I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, I think this is what it's gonna take for people to take the game serious. It needs to be run smooth. We need to have good retention of viewers and players and that kind of stuff. And if we can continue to do that, improve analytics, I think we probably have a really good shot of securing you know, MXGP or, you know, a smaller series to do track maps for or partner with or something like that. I know Hurin is kind of already bridging that gap by making track maps for Arena Cross, and maybe that is, you know, I know he's kind of cooking in the background. Maybe that is, you know, step one on his end of trying to, you know, get bikes out there into the real world. Maybe it has nothing to do with that, but I just really think that that would be huge. It would just solidify the game a little bit in the consumer's eyes that it is a viable option and a legit game, and or, you know, people call it esport, whatever you want. Like, it is here and it's legit and it's not going anywhere. And I feel like a lot of people don't think that, and I think we need to try and figure out how to do that. So that's another one. But alongside that, one of the biggest issues with that is the next topic, and let's get right into that right now. Next topic we're going to talk about is Netcode, and before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. On our way to 20,000 subs, and that would just be a huge milestone for me, and I would appreciate it a lot. So anyway, thank you for that, and I love you. But let's talk about Netcode. See, Netcode has a lot to do with a lot of things. Netcode has a lot to do with the racing experience in the game, as well as the replay in the game. I feel like that's my understanding. I think they're two different issues, but basically the same issue, if that makes sense. I don't know. Well, maybe if I'm wrong, I don't know, then I'm just a goofy goober, but I'm gonna combine these into one. The Netcode creates racing very, very close to one another, very unpredictable and very difficult. And what I mean is passing, or just, like I was saying, passing or even just riding next to each other can be very difficult and unpredictable in this game because, well, if the player has bad ping, like if I'm in the US and I'm playing against a player in Australia, what can happen is where he is on my screen is not actually where he is on his screen, and that can lead to obviously crashes and all kinds of things. And well, it just makes the racing not very competitive, you know, because it's not, you can't really race people unless you're both have a really, really good ping. And even then, it's really not, it's just really not the same. And I don't think any of us really realized truly how bad it was until the LAN event. And when we were all on a local network, we were all connected to each other, we were able to pass and bump into each other on the start straights without, you know, yeeting each other across the map. Or I remember one specific scenario, me and Dorian Merritt were basically locked bars through an entire sand section, and neither of us really got sketchy at all, but we were like right next to each other, right on top of each other, and it really just wasn't an issue. And that would be huge. And I think that kind of goes into my previous statement about making the game a little bit more accepted in the community. Being able to race a little bit tighter and, you know, block pass and pass it all without cleaning everybody out. Like, there's pretty much two ways to pass an MX bikes right now, or three ways. Either you're just faster, right? Like, either you just get around them because you're just better and you're just going faster and you can just take bad lines and get around them. You either do that, you block past them, which usually just means punting them, or you sit behind them and you wait for a mistake like that. And while block passing and waiting for mistakes are fine, if you are similar speed, so basically the pro races where the top 20 are separated by like a second or two, it is very, very difficult to make a skilled like block pass or take the line away and still like have both riders stay up if you're going the same speed. It's just difficult. Now, if I'm running 1 minute flat on a track and you're running 1:15s, obviously I'm going to be able to get around you. But if you're running 101s and I'm running a 1 minute flat, it's very difficult to make like calculated passes without really, punting or hitting or just absolutely just sitting there waiting for a major mistake like a crash. Now, it is possible, but I just don't think that it translates that well, I guess, to the replay mode when the streamers are watching it. And that kind of leads me to my next thing that I'm kind of linking up with Netcode is the replay system is amazing in single player. Like, I think we can all agree that this game looks actually really, really good if you're in single player replay. The whips, the suspension, everything. Oh my gosh, that comes back. Holy cow. Everything looks so good. Then you get into an online lobby and you hit the replay button, or a streamer is watching a pro race and the game just like falls apart. It becomes very stiff and like janky, and then like, man, you combine that with a really bad ping or something and you can't even tell what's happening. And I think that really plays into people not taking the game seriously, is because it looks so bad in online replay. And I know that there was a recent update that helped improve that, and it really did, but I definitely think there's a lot of room there for improvement still, and that is a huge thing. Because if we're gonna be having big LANs and big events where we talk about like how cool bikes is and the professional scene and how competitive it is, if it doesn't look like it, nobody cares. Like, people that aren't interested or like aren't invested from, you know, the ground level, people that are just kind of like looking in, that's the first thing they're gonna say is, well, this game looks like it was made in 2002, so like how could it be relevant in 2024 and beyond? And I think that is something I would really hope to see this game improve on. And like the graphics itself, yeah, that's something that could improve on too, but like, I really don't think tracks like this, you know, from really high level creators really don't look that bad. And, you know, combine that with reshade, and the game actually looks very, very good. Obviously, there's a lot of technology out there that's not being used, ray tracing and all that stuff, but I have no idea how or blah, 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 how that could even work. But I honestly don't think that the graphics, I mean, Sim was taken seriously, and like, come on, you know, what is Sim? Okay, Sim looks like a good game, but it looks horrible, you know what I mean? I think anyone that plays Sim could agree that like, it just does not look well, and it was taken seriously. And I think that bikes can too. We just have to improve in a few areas. Now, I have another big one. Now, none of these are in really specific order, but this next one is about consistency, and I think that is going to be really important. So let's move over to the track Spain and talk about consistency. All right, we're over here on Spain, and I want to talk about consistency in the game. And now, I really didn't want to bring in any of the modders to the conversation. I was really trying to talk about just the game developer Paboso and the game itself, because the modders are really just, they really just carry the community, and I don't really think they need that much. Well, in this video, I don't think we need to be criticizing too much, but I will say one thing. It's not really a criticism, but I do think it would help, again, the base player of the game, the people that aren't grinding, you know, 40 hours a week in the game, and that is consistency with the bike updates. Now, I don't necessarily mean I need you to update them consistently, but if you guys have been playing this game for any period of time, when the OEMs or factory bikes or whatever, I don't care, whatever updates, the physics of the game change, and the way that you play the game changes drastically. And I think that that's a good thing in some ways. They're constantly pushing to try and be better. But what ends up happening is you have people that play the game, you know, 5-10 hours a week, and it takes them 6 months to get good on bikes, and they're finally feeling comfortable. Something updates, and it completely changes the play style of the game. Right? For instance, the last OEMs before these, the best way to corner on those was you lean forward and you countersteamed a little bit. On these, you don't really need to do that. You need to lean back and not countersteam at all. So it's basically the polar opposite. But when people spend 4, 5, 6 months building muscle memory to get good at a bike, and then there's an update, and the way that they used to play is the complete opposite wrong way to play, moving forward, that can be really, really frustrating. And maybe you let it slide one time, like, okay, well, I just need to adapt. Well, then there's another update, and then it completely changes. Now you don't touch your leaning at all. Now it's, if you do that, you're gonna crash 24/7, you're gonna front tuck, and it just, I think it can be really disheartening for a lot of people. Now, I will say, as far as the OEMs go, I believe the OEM team has been working for the last few years to find the base that we're at now. Like, don't quote me on this, but I believe that the base we're at now is the base that they're happy with and will be, you know, building off of moving forward. So I think that that should stop, but I really just wanted to bring that up, that like, I don't think people realize that the casual player really, well, I mean, maybe people do realize, but those of us that grind the game like crazy, I think can forget that the casual player spends 4-6 months learning how to play the game a specific style, and then sometimes, you know, tires or whatever can update, and suddenly we're playing the game completely different. And I know the game's in beta, and we're still, you know, we're still understanding and learning and pushing and changing and trying to find the perfect thing. But I think eventually, whenever we find the balance of just, these are the bikes, but now we're gonna update them, I think it'll help people enjoy the game a little bit more, because they won't feel like they lose all of their progression every single time something updates. I've heard that from a lot of casual players. The other thing on consistency that I would like to talk about is really just on Poboso's side, consistent updates or consistent communication even would be, you know, and I know that people talk about this all the time, and, you know, it kind of gets harped on, but I think honestly, I don't want to say an easy solution, but a good solution for that would be an MX Bikes official social media presence. And I know that you guys, I know a few of you guys are gonna be like, well, Doc, there's an MX Bikes Instagram. Well, it's not run by Poboso, and it has nothing to do with the owner that runs it. He does a fine job, but I think that if there was an official MX Bikes social media presence where they shared updates and they shared when things were changing and sneak peeks, and like, I follow MX vs ATV specifically so I can see when they do updates, and it's interesting to see a little bit of the behind the scenes and what are they working on, and that's something that I will praise MX vs ATV like crazy. Their social media presence is excellent, and I mean like excellent. They're communicating with their community, they talk to people in the comments respectfully, they even reach out to other people in other communities like me, and, you know, encourage us and what we're doing, and there is like no sense of competition or anything from them. I just would love to just praise them a little bit on their social media presence. Is perfect. It's very, very good, and I would love to see something from bikes. And obviously Poboso and Snap aren't, you know, Snap is the guy that helps work with Poboso. They don't seem like ones that would be very interested in social media, but I think that they should hire somebody, whether it's the guy that's actually running the current quote unquote official MX Bikes page, or, you know, somebody else, or, you know, somebody on their team or something. I don't know, but there should be an official, you know, social media presence where they are consistently giving updates on what is happening with the game, why they're not working on it, or why they are working on it, and what they're working on, and some sort of visual and or written representation of that work in progress. I think that would be huge, so people can stay up to date and understand what's going on, that we'd have one place to go. Like yesterday, for instance, all the servers went down, and, you know, the only way people knew that the servers, you know, were down and it wasn't an issue on their end was either asking one of the streamers that was live at the time, or going into the Discord. And while the Discord is a good place for information, Discord is just not as popular as, you know, Twitter or X and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Like, not everybody has Discord, and not everybody is in the MX Bikes Discord. And I think that having a mainstream social media presence would be absolutely huge for the game. But that's my rant about that. I think that would be absolutely huge. And yeah, let's get into the final thing here. And this one's going to be a little bit different. Boys, we're over on MXGP of Turkey, which is one of my favorite MXGP tracks, by the way. This track is absolutely goated. And I want to talk about my final thing that I think could really help the game. And this one's a little bit different. And this is more about the community and the way the community treats one another. And honestly, there's been a lot, oh my goodness, almost crashed. There has been a lot of drama lately within the community for a lot of different things. OEM versus factory, NIKO, like the shop versus barber, this kind of like thing after thing after thing, paid tracks versus free tracks. And honestly, even just in the community, the way people talk to each other, the way people treat each other is really, really disheartening. And I'm not picking sides on anything. I'm not making a stand and be like, no, this person was wrong. I'm talking about across the board, myself included. Okay, there's an apology in this video as well. Myself included, the way people have been treating one another in this community over the last like 3, 4, maybe 5 months is really sad, in my opinion. Like, I know it's the internet. Listen, I know people are gonna be rude. I know people, you know, just want to tear each other down, but I have seen an uprise of toxicity within the community recently that I don't like, and I don't really, I don't know. It makes me really frustrated and really sad. This community used to be the most inviting and kind community that I had ever been a part of. When I first joined, I remember specifically telling people like, dude, like, I came from Apex and COD and all that. I was like, man, this community is crazy. Everyone just wants to help one another. Everyone's kind. And it has turned into those other communities. And so really, I know that my little voice isn't going to change anybody, but I guess, you know, this is just me. If one person hears this and changes their mind about a message that they're going to take, I'll take that as a win. And I'm just going to say, like, I apologize too. I'm not going to lie. The toxicity has gotten to Doc. Listen, I've been tight lately, okay? I've been frustrated, I've been annoyed. There's been a lot of growth for me, and with a lot of growth, there's been a lot of toxicity, and, you know, it's been making me angry and frustrated, and I have not been treating people with kindness like I should. I mean, I haven't been mean, but I've been a little snarky, you know? And that's something that is on me, and that I need to be better. And I would like to publicly apologize to the masses, you know, and I'm genuinely sorry. That's not who I want to be. That's quite literally who I would like not to be. And it has been really difficult for me. There's just been a lot of it around me lately, and I've been kind of mentally weak, I guess, is the thing. And I don't know. And I think that I would just like to put that out there for you guys. Like, man, community, just be better, you know, across the board. I'm tired of opening social media and seeing people tell other people to take their own life or whatever it is, you know, just being toxic for no other reason. Like, listen, guys, we're playing a dirt bike video game, all right? It's not that serious, all right? We're having fun. You don't like other people in the comments or, you know, in Discords or whatever, it's all right. Probably don't like you either. Well, okay, see, there's me being snarky again. Anyway, I'm just saying, it's all right. You don't need to vocalize it, all right? You really don't need to. You know, you can keep your comments to yourself. You know what my mom always used to say, and I'm sure your mom used to say too. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all right? And that's what I would like the community. I know I'm being the dad of MX Bikes right now, but really, come on. You guys got to be better, and so do I, all right? This isn't a pointing finger on my high horse. Like, I'm part of the issue too, and I would like us all to be better, okay? So, listen, I love you, and I hope that you guys have a blessed day. And yeah, I think MX Bikes can be the perfect dirt bike game. I really do. And I think it will take a lot of effort and a lot of change, but I believe the foundation is there. The base is there. And man, I love this game. I know a lot of you guys watching do as well. And if you're new and you haven't got into the game, man, get it. Get a PC. Alexander PC is down in the description. You know what I mean? There it is. Okay. All right. Little plug for the boys. All right, I love you, and I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one, all right? Peace.